In the vast ocean, where the waves and winds are constantly lapping, Japanese fishing boats quietly set sail. On the deck, experienced men prepare for a hard day's work. They check each mesh of the net, each piece of equipment, making sure everything is ready for the big fish hunt. As the sun rises, the first light shines on the sea surface, and the giant seine nets are lowered. With skillful techniques, the fishermen control the nets to form a large circle. Surrounding the school of fish moving underwater, the smooth coordination between the crew is the key to ensuring a successful catch. Once the nets are closed, the harvesting process begins. The hydraulic lift system operates at full capacity, bringing each batch of fish onto the deck. The fresh fish, silvery in the sunlight, are quickly sorted and put into the cold storage for preservation. Speed and precision are vital during this stage, in order to maintain the freshness of the fish. On board, everyone has a job. No one is allowed to be negligent. One operates the crane, one operates the pump system, one monitors the temperature of the cold storage compartment. All work like a perfect machine, with the common goal of bringing back the largest, highest quality catch. After many hours of non-stop work, when the hold is full of fish, the ship begins its journey back to port. Here, the fish are immediately transferred to processing plants. Where they are processed, packaged and distributed to domestic and foreign markets. The fish that meet the highest standards will be exported to luxury restaurants, where they become expensive dishes. The profession of large-scale purse seine fishing not only brings great economic value but is also the pride of Japanese fishermen. They are not only hard-working workers but also artisans, people who preserve and develop a precious traditional profession. Each trip to sea is a challenging journey, but also a testament to their resilience and love for the job. After each successful trip, not only is there a return with laughter, but also the eyes filled with faith of the fishermen when they look out to sea, the place that has fed their families for generations. For them, the ocean is not simply a place to provide seafood, but also a companion, a strict but tolerant teacher. It is from the white-capped waves that they learn patience. How to read nature, and most of all, how to live together in solidarity and sharing. Each man on board is part of a harmonious system, from the boat driver to the net puller, from the sorter to the fish quality inspector. All work tirelessly. Their calloused hands and sweaty backs are proof of a life tied to salt and sea breeze. They never complain or grumble, because they understand that each catch of fish is the future of their children, the hope for tomorrow's life. The sea is not always gentle. There are long trips in storms, when the waves are as high as mountains. The wind howls and tears the deck apart. However, the courage of the fishermen never wavers. They tie the ropes tightly, grip the steering wheel tightly, and steer the ship like a warrior rushing into battle. Under the stormy sky, their will and faith are what keep them steadfast in the vast ocean. On favorable days, when the fish are pulled back with the current, Joy is evident on every face. The bustling sound of machinery, the shouts of the crew, the sound of fish splashing water are like a harmony between people and the sea. The full nets, heavy with tons of fresh fish, are not only the result of a day's work but also an immeasurable pride. Modern Japanese fishing boats are not just a means of transport, but also an integrated technological system. From fish finding radar, satellite positioning system, net control computer, to international standard frozen storage compartment, all aim to optimize fishing efficiency and product quality. The thorough investment in technology not only helps increase output but also ensures the sustainability of aquatic resources. Because the Japanese understand very well, if you do not know how to protect the sea today, there will be no tomorrow to return. After the ship docks, each ton of fish is transported in a hurry. The processing plants immediately operate, with a line of classification, cleaning, packaging, and freezing. Every operation is precise, ensuring hygiene and preserving the original flavor of fresh fish. High-quality fish will be labeled for export and shipped to demanding markets such as Europe, the US, Korea, China, etc. The rest will be consumed domestically, serving the unique Japanese culinary industry, where every slice of sashimi and every piece of grilled fish requires absolutely fresh ingredients. More than just an economic sector, fishing in Japan is also a distinctive cultural feature, from traditional festivals honoring the sea, to fairy tales about sea gods and magical ships. All reflect the sacred connection between humans and the ocean. Children growing up by the wharf, hearing the ships whistle every morning, eating meals with fresh fish just pulled from the sea, all carry within them pride in a profession passed down from generation to generation. The Japanese government also pays special attention to the fishing industry. In addition to strictly controlling output to avoid overexploitation, they also invest in vocational education, train young captains, and support loans for fishermen to invest in new ships and modern equipment. They understand that if they want to maintain their leading position in the world in the field of fisheries, they need to build from the root, from the people working far out at sea. Afternoons at Japanese ports are unforgettable moments. As the ship docks, the sun is slanting over the horizon. The whole space seems to be covered in a layer of golden color. The ship's whistle sounds in the wind, signaling the end of a day's fishing and the beginning of a new journey, the journey of transferring products from the sea to the dining tables of millions of families. Each box of fish is carefully unloaded, loaded onto refrigerated trucks, and transported to distribution centers. Processing plants, and famous fish markets like Tsukiji, where just a fresh tuna can be auctioned for tens of thousands of US dollars. Behind those huge numbers are sweat, tears, and silent sacrifices. Some fishermen do not return. Some ships are sunk by fierce waves in the dark. But what has kept fishing alive for hundreds of years in this country is a strong belief in the future. And an undying love for the sea. The Japanese believe that every fish caught with kindness is a way to repay the sea. They have the philosophy of itadakimasu, a thank you before each meal. Not only to the cook but also to nature for giving them life. On the deck, everyday stories are told in the deep voices of fishermen. They share with each other about last year's fishing season, about their children about to graduate, about their wives at home waiting for messages. Each story is a slice of real life, where the sea is not only a source of income, but also a place to preserve memories and connect people with each other. There are people who have been involved in fishing for more than 40 years. Know every ocean current, and can sense the arrival of fish just by the color of the sea. They are a living treasure trove of folk knowledge, a symbol of perseverance. Life at sea is not without hardships. Lack of sleep, lack of fresh water. Harsh weather, and loneliness in the middle of the vast ocean. But in return, fishermen get something that not everyone has: camaraderie, a sense of victory when their nets are full of fish, and pride in knowing that their work is feeding an entire nation. The shouts of "Yosha! Done!" that ring out every time the nets are closed are not simply a command, they are a cheer. A message of unity, the music of the sea. It is also from the tireless work of fishermen that Japan has become one of the world's leading seafood exporting nations. Annual output reaches millions of tons, creating jobs for hundreds of thousands of workers not only at sea, but also on land, from logistics, transportation, processing to distribution and export. Each fish caught is an important link in the global value chain, from the deep ocean to supermarkets in New York, Paris, Seoul or Singapore. Purse seine fishing is a combination of traditional experience and modern technology. The netting system is controlled by machines with precision down to the meter. The net can be hundreds of meters long, effectively encircling the fish school without damaging the marine ecosystem. Fish finding sonar, GPS locators and underwater cameras help to accurately locate the fish school and allow real-time decision-making. The presence of artificial intelligence in fishing vessel operations is also beginning to be applied, helping to optimize the journey, save fuel and limit unintentional fishing. However, with development comes great responsibility. Japanese fishermen are always aware of their role in protecting the marine environment. Strict regulations on fishing quotas, seasons, and fish species are strictly followed. The government establishes marine reserves and encourages the use of environmentally friendly nets to avoid catching juvenile fish or endangered species. More than just a business, the Japanese see fishing as a heritage. Part of the nation's future. As the sun begins to rise over the horizon, the light falls on the water, creating millions of shimmering reflections like broken diamonds. By then, the ship has moved far away from the mainland, where the phone signal fades, and people are completely immersed in nature. The fishermen start the day with a cup of hot tea, a few greetings, then head out onto the deck, preparing for a workday that lasts dozens of hours. On deck, everything is carefully checked: the netting system, the cranes, the winches, the sensors, and even the giant purse seines, folded and ready to be released when there is a signal of a school of fish. It is technology but also an art, because not just having machines will catch fish. The operator's feeling, the captain's experience. And the understanding between each member of the team are irreplaceable. The large purse seine is a specialized net that can cover a large area of water, closing like a giant bag. When the sonar detects a school of fish, the captain quickly orders the net to be released. The net is spread out like a giant arm embracing the sea surface, then gradually retracted from the bottom, causing the entire school of fish to be gathered to one point. The sparkling silver fish, from mackerel. Tuna, to sardines, herring, dense schools swim around the net like moving dots of light. A majestic and breathtaking sight. The net collection process takes place urgently. The machines operate continuously, creating a rumbling sound, mixed with the sound of the waves and the shouts of the fishermen. The fish are sucked up by large pumps, poured into deep cold compartments, where the temperature is maintained at minus a few degrees to keep the fish almost absolutely fresh. All operations are quick and precise, because if they are delayed for just a few minutes, the fish will begin to lose quality. Each successful catch, hundreds of tons of fish are brought onto the ship. Large ships can carry up to thousands of tons of fish on each trip. The fish are classified right on the ship, according to size, type and quality. Type of fish will be kept separately, reserved for auction at high-end fish markets. Type B and C fish are transferred to processing factories. Canned, made into fish cakes, dried fish or exported to other countries. There are peaceful evenings at sea. After a day of fishing, the crew members sit together around a simple meal, just white rice, some grilled fish and seaweed soup, but everyone eats it deliciously, because it is a meal earned through sweat and perseverance. They tell each other about previous trips, about the storm last year, or about seeing whales jumping on the waves. There are also mystical stories passed down from generation to generation. About the spirit of the ocean, taboos when going out to sea, or the magical fish that guides the way back to shore. In each person is a whole world, where time is not measured in days and months, but in fishing seasons. Each season is a new life, a new opportunity, and also a new challenge. There are years when the fish come in thickly, income increases, the whole fishing village holds a festival, but there are also years when the sea is quiet. The yield is low, the ships return with empty barrels, and their eyes are heavy with worries about food and clothing. But in the midst of hardship, the Japanese spirit is even more resilient. They never give up. For them, fishing is not just a way to make a living, but a part of the national soul, a source of pride for generations. Children in coastal areas grow up with the sound of waves, and from a young age are taught by their parents how to recognize the weather, wind direction, and how to tie a rope securely. This knowledge is not found in books, but is passed down through words, practice, and love of the sea. Today's Japanese fishermen also pay great attention to training the younger generation. They open fishing training schools, organize classes on modern fishing techniques, skills to handle emergencies at sea, and even knowledge of international fishing laws. Because in the era of globalization, fishing is no longer a matter of a country, but also a common concern of the whole world. Preserving marine resources not only helps them have food today, but also leaves a future for future generations. A day at sea is never easy. As the sun just rises, the waves continue to beat against the hull, carrying the salty breath that blows on each calloused face. The entire crew is busy with work, preparing nets, checking the positioning system, determining the fish flow and calculating the most suitable direction for effective harvesting. Fishing not only requires health but also meticulous calculation, reasonable tactics and smooth coordination between each member on board. Inside the cockpit, the captain carefully monitors the sonar screen. Signals from the seabed show a giant school of fish moving with the ocean current. Without much need to say, just a nod from the captain and the entire crew is in position. The order echoed clearly in the wind. Each person rushed into work decisively and precisely. The giant seine net was dropped into the sea, stretching hundreds of meters, gradually closing like an arm embracing the entire school of fish inside. The first rays of sunlight shone on the water, making the silver fish jump out of the sea. A majestic scene, like a vivid natural painting, where humans and the ocean harmonized in a 1,000-year-long non-stop struggle. The sound of the net pulling machine resounded. The fishermen strained to hold the heavy nets tightly, each person in a position, each person with a task. The heat from the engine mixed with the salty air created a distinctive scent of the ocean, the scent of labor, of life and of hope. They did not allow themselves to delay even for a second, because with just a small mistake, the net could be torn, or the school of fish could break the siege and escape. Once the fish have been collected, the high-powered pumps start working, sucking the fish up into the ship through giant pipes. The fresh fish pour down into the hold, their fins glistening in the sunlight. Some particularly rare fish such as bluefin tuna will be inspected on the spot, packaged separately to be sent to famous seafood auctions in Tokyo or Osaka. The work does not end after the fish are harvested. The crew quickly sorts, cleans and stores them in deep freezers. They work continuously, without a moment of rest. Because they know that with each passing minute, the quality of the fish will decrease significantly. Japanese fishermen are famous for their discipline and dedication. They never neglect even the smallest steps. After finishing the work, the crew has a short break. A simple but nutritious meal is served: grilled fish, hot rice, miso soup, and some pickled vegetables. Everyone sits together, eating and chatting about today's fishing trip, about previous trips, or simply telling each other stories about life on shore. There are people who have spent their whole lives at sea, away from home for months. For them, the ship is not only a means of work but also a second home. They remember their childhood days, when their fathers were also resilient fishermen. passing on to their children and grandchildren every skill and valuable experience to survive in the vast ocean. But the sea is not always gentle. There are nights when the waves rise. The wind howls in cold gusts, and the whole ship sways in the middle of a storm. At those times, everyone must concentrate, fasten their seat belts, hold on to the ship's side, and stay calm. They never panic, because they know that calmness is the key to overcoming all challenges. For them, facing storms is no longer a strange thing. It is part of life. Part of the journey they have chosen. Despite the difficulties and dangers that always lurk, Japanese fishermen continue to go to sea. Year after year, from generation to generation, they are not only fishermen, but also warriors of the sea. People who have contributed significantly to maintaining and developing Japan's fishing industry, one of the most important industries in this country. When the ships return to port, carrying hundreds of tons of fresh fish, cheers resound, smiles bloom on the lips of the wives and children waiting at home. They know that, after all the hardships, the tireless efforts, they have completed a meaningful journey, not only to make a living, but also to maintain a tradition, a pride, and an unshakable spirit. When the ship docks, hundreds of tons of fresh fish are quickly transferred to shore. There is no time to rest. Each crate of fish is unloaded by giant hydraulic cranes, taken straight to the processing plants located right next to the seaport. The entire process is supervised by a team of experienced experts, with a strict quality control system, ensuring that each fish meets the highest standards to serve the domestic and export markets. In the factory, the fish are put into the automatic processing line. Here, workers work with robots to cut, gut, and classify by size and quality. Grader fish will be processed separately for export to high-end markets such as the US, EU or China. The remaining parts will be further processed, filleted, frozen, or put into processed food production lines. Japan is famous for its precision and sophistication in every detail, and the seafood industry is no exception. Each piece of fish must be cut evenly to the millimeter. Each packaging must be clean and eye-catching, demonstrating the Japanese people's respect for products from the ocean. No one allows themselves to be careless, because they understand that each product is the face of the entire industry, the pride of the nation. At the same time, food safety and hygiene testing experts work at full capacity. They check for chemical residues, parasites, and storage conditions of each batch of fish. Any mistake means hundreds of millions of yen in damage.